when the soul feels more than the body can handle. Today I want to talk about something that affects millions of people, but few dare to discuss openly. I'm referring to those who feel too much, who perceive beyond the visible, and are often labeled as different. The experience of the out of match. There are souls born with more sensitive antennae. For them, the world is not just what they see, but everything they feel, perceive, and often, this gift becomes a cross. Intense sensitivity works like a radio that picks up all frequencies at once. While most people tune in to only a few stations, the most sensitive receive all channels simultaneously. This can be both a blessing and a curse. When the soul vibrates at a higher frequency than the physical body can handle, what many call mental illness arises. Perhaps that's not the best definition. Perhaps it would be more appropriate to call it dimensional mismatch, a state in which expanded consciousness finds no correspondence in dense matter. Throughout history, sensitive people have been forced to wear masks, called crazy, special, or gifted. These labels serve more to protect society from itself than to truly understand those who carry this sensitivity. The label special may seem complimentary, but it carries with it a terrible pressure. Being special means carrying impossible expectations. Being crazy means being excluded, marginalized, medicated until sensitivity is silenced. But what happens when we silence sensitivity? We lose touch with dimensions of reality fundamental to our spiritual evolution. We lose the ability to perceive the signs, the synchronicities, the invisible connections that give meaning to existence. Society has developed defense mechanisms against the sensitive because it represents the unknown, the unpredictable. The sensitive is a constant reminder that there is much more to the universe than our five senses can capture. From a broader perspective of the human condition, each soul chooses its own vehicle of experience. Some vehicles are naturally more sensitive than others. Autism, for example, can be understood as a soul learning to communicate with matter. These children are not sick. They are in the process of adaptation. They are spirits who chose bodies with more delicate nervous systems, perhaps to experience purer forms of perception. Down syndrome can also be seen as a spiritual choice. These souls bring a special purity, an absence of malice, rare in the modern world. They come to teach others the simplicity of unconditional love and the honesty of an open heart. People with high abilities also carry an intense sensitivity, which manifests itself differently. Their minds function like supercomputers, processing information at speeds the ordinary world cannot match. All of these conditions represent different forms of sensitivity, different degrees of openness to higher dimensions, and what they all require is understanding, not judgment. On the spectrum of sensitivity, we also find its opposites, those that seem completely disconnected from empathy and compassion. Psychopaths, for example, can be seen as souls who have not yet developed the capacity to feel the suffering of others. This is not a statement of value, but an observation. Just as there are souls who feel too much, there are those who feel too little. Both are in a learning process, just at different stages of emotional evolution. The psychopathic person is not evil by choice. They are insensitive by nature. This insensitivity is also a form of disconnection, but in the opposite direction. While the sensitive receives excessive emotional information, the insensitive receives none. Between these extremes, we find the full spectrum of human experience. We all lie somewhere along this line, trying to find balance between our spiritual nature and our physical manifestation. True wisdom lies in understanding that science and spirituality are not enemies, but allies. Science offers us tools to understand the workings of the body and mind. Spirituality reveals the purpose behind experience. When a sensitive person seeks professional help, they are not denying their spiritual nature. They are seeking ways to harmonize their elevated frequency with the demands of the physical world. Therapy, when properly conducted, can be a form of dimensional adjustment. The physical body responds to everything we experience. Our hormones, neurotransmitters, nervous system all are affected by our emotions, thoughts, and spiritual perceptions. Ignoring this connection is ignoring a fundamental part of the human condition. Anxiety, for example, can be the body's response to spiritual information it hasn't yet learned to process. Depression can be the soul seeking time to integrate intense experiences. Hyperactivity can be spiritual energy seeking appropriate channels of expression. The key to resolving the disconnect between soul and body does not lie in self-knowledge alone. Every sensitive person needs to learn to recognize their limits, protect their energy, find appropriate forms of expression, and seek alignment between their perceptions and their physical reality. This doesn't mean repressing sensitivity, but learning to channel it in a healthy way. It's like learning to play a complex musical instrument. It requires technique, practice, and patience. Self-knowledge also involves understanding that each soul has its own pace of evolution. Comparing yourself to others is useless and harmful. What matters is individual progress, personal growth, and the balanced expansion of consciousness. Spiritual maturity as the ability to withstand more light. There is a profound concept in the spiritual tradition that states that the more evolved a soul is, the greater its capacity to bear light. This doesn't just mean positive light, but the full complexity of the human experience. Joy and sadness, love and pain, birth and death. Spiritual maturity is measured not by the absence of suffering, but by the ability to transmute suffering into wisdom. It is the ability to maintain a connection with the divine, even in the face of earthly difficulties. For those who are more sensitive, this process is more intense. They feel more deeply, love more intensely, and suffer more acutely. But they also experience purer joys, deeper connections, and clearer insights. The goal is not to eliminate sensitivity, but to harmonize it. This involves energetic protection, learning to create subtle shields that allow perception without emotional overload. Grounding, keeping your feet firmly on the ground while maintaining contact with higher dimensions. Creative expression, finding healthy ways to channel spiritual insights through art, writing, service to others. Communion with nature, powerful energy regulator that helps balance subtle frequencies and connection with purpose. Understanding why we chose this sensitivity and what service we provide. Perhaps the greatest lesson for those who are sensitive is self-acceptance. We live in a society that values pragmatism, efficiency, and objectivity. To be sensitive is to be considered weak, exaggerated, and problematic. But sensitivity is a gift. It is through sensitivity that we perceive the hidden beauty of the world, feel the pain of others, capture messages from beyond, and intuit the right path. Accepting oneself as sensitive is embracing a unique way of being in the world. It means recognizing that there is no error in feeling more, perceiving more, intuiting more. The error lies in not knowing how to manage this capacity. We are living at a crucial moment in the evolution of human consciousness. More and more people are awakening to subtle dimensions of reality. Sensitivity is becoming less of an anomaly and more of an emerging norm. This doesn't mean everyone will become mediums or visionaries. It means that humanity as a whole is developing a broader, more compassionate consciousness, more connected to the whole. Today's sensitive people are the pioneers of this new phase of human evolution. They are paving the way for a more conscious, empathetic humanity, more attuned to universal laws. Paradoxically, the disconnect between soul and body can be a blessing in disguise. It is through this discomfort that we are driven to seek answers, to question reality, to expand our consciousness. Those who live in perfect harmony with the material world often do unfeel the need to seek the transcendent. It is the discomfort, the disconnect, the feeling of not fully belonging to this world that propels us toward the spiritual. Therefore, for the sensitive, don't be hard on yourself. You are not broken, just attuned to frequencies the world has not yet learned to hear. True healing does not consist in eliminating sensitivity, but in integrating it in a balanced way. There is no need to choose between being spiritual or functional. It is possible to be both. The path is one of harmonization. It is learning to dance between worlds, keeping your feet on the ground and your heart open to the heavens. Every soul carrying intense sensitivity has a unique role in this great orchestra of human evolution. And the world needs every note, however dissonant it may sometimes seem. Sensitivity is an invitation to a fuller, more connected, more meaningful life. And even when it seems like a burden, it is actually a gift in disguise, a chance to experience reality in its fullness, to touch the divine in every moment, to live with an open heart, even in the face of difficulties. When the soul feels more than the body can bear, perhaps the problem is not the soul, but the body, which needs to learn to dance with the soul's frequency. And this dance, when learned, is the most beautiful of all. Spiritual message for sensitive souls. Every soul carrying a heightened sensitivity is not broken, but rather attuned to dimensions that many still cannot access. You, who feel the energies around you, who perceive the unspoken and capture the subtle frequencies of life, have been endowed with a special gift. Don't see it as a burden, but as a valuable ability to perceive reality in its multiple layers, even when it presents challenges. Understand that this sensitivity is a journey of spiritual learning. What many call disconnection is actually a call to seek balance between expanded perception and earthly experience. Your soul yearns for expression, but it also needs anchoring. Allowing yourself to feel deeply honors your essence. But remember to also care for the physical vessel that enables this experience. Practice self-compassion and energetic protection. You don't need to absorb all the world's pain, even if you are capable of feeling it. Learning to establish subtle boundaries is an act of self-love and a spiritual necessity. Allow yourself moments of silence and reconnection with nature. As they restore your inner frequency and help integrate perceptions, remember that your sensitivity is a beacon in a world that often values only the tangible. Through it, you bring more awareness, empathy, and depth to relationships and the community. Don't underestimate the power of your presence even when you feel overwhelmed. You are offering the world a different way of seeing life. You are not alone. Many others like you are scattered throughout the world, each learning to dance between sensitivity and solidity, between heaven and earth. Believe that this sometimes lonely path is an important part of human evolution. Walk together, supporting each other, sharing, and reminding each other of the beauty of feeling deeply. May you find harmony between soul and body, between feeling and living. May your journey be one of acceptance, learning, and, above all, love for who you are. After all, feeling deeply is not a weakness. It is a courageous way of existing and touching the mystery of life with an open heart. So, everyone, what did you think of this reflection? If you identified with this content, I know your journey isn't easy, but I also know it's deeply meaningful. You're not alone on this journey. Many here feel the world more intensely, and perhaps that's precisely your mission: to feel, to transform, to perceive, to inspire. Leave a comment. Have you ever felt a disconnect between what your soul feels and what your body endures? How do you deal with this sensitivity in your daily life? Your experience can help others who are going through the same thing. If this video resonated with you, like, save, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Sometimes, a single piece of content can change the way we see our own sensitivity. Do you want to forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss future reflections. Together, we can create a more conscious and welcoming community for all who feel a little out of touch. Energetic hugs, and see you in the next video.